If a black guinea pig were crossed with a white guinea pig, what would be the resulting phenotypic ratio? The correct answer is C, 1 black to 1 white, because this is a test cross. And first, the heterozygous black guinea pig, B capital B small, can produce two types of gametes, B capital for the dominant trait and B small for the recessive trait. Then the homozygous white guinea pig, B small, can only produce B gametes, B small gametes. So the possible offspring are B capital B small black and B small white in equal probability. Which gamete cannot come from an individual that has a genotype of Y capital Y small, R capital R small? The correct answer is A, Y capital, because a gamete is a sex cell that contains only one allele for each gene, and an individual with the genotype Y capital, Y small, R capital, R small has one Y allele and one Y small allele. Which describes an individual that is represented by B capital B small in a Mendelian cross? Correct answer is C, heterozygous, because an individual with two different alleles for a gene, one dominant and one recessive, is heterozygous. Which is not true about polyploidy? Of course, the answer is A. It is caused by crossing over, because crossing over is different. This is responsible for the variation in genetics. But the polyploidy is the condition of having more than two sets of chromosomes, and it's caused by the failure of chromosomes to separate during meiosis. Which does not contribute to genetic variation? The correct answer is A, the chromosome number. Based on the chromosome map shown, which two alleles have the least frequency of crossing over? The correct answer is C, Y and W, because on a chromosome map, the frequency of crossing over is proportional to the distance between genes, and genes that are close together are less likely to have a crossover event occur between them. Which phenotypic ratio would result if a parent homozygous dominant for a trait is used in a test cross? Correct answer is A, 1, because in a test cross, if the parent, for example in the question, is homozygous dominant A capital, all offspring will be heterozygous A capital A small and will all display the dominant phenotype, so the ratio is 1. What is the genotypic ratio of the offspring in the cross shown? The correct answer is B, 1 to 1, because the Punnett square shows a cross between two heterozygous individuals, W capital, W small, with W small, so the resulting genotypes are 2 W capital, W small to 2 W small, which is the 1-to-1 genotypic ratio. Which is a disadvantage of inbreeding? The correct answer is C. It may pass on harmful recessive traits, because inbreeding is the mating of individuals who are closely related genetically. So, this will increase the chance that offspring will inherit two copies of a harmful recessive allele. And this is because closely related individuals are more likely to carry the same recessive alleles. Which term describes the process in which people cross-parent organisms with different forms of a trait to produce offspring with a specific traits? Of course, the correct answer is C, hybridization. Which is not true about a carrier for a genetic disorder? Of course, B, they have the disorder, because a carrier is an individual who is heterozygous for a recessive genetic disorder, and they have one normal allele and one disease allele. So they do not have the disorder themselves, but can pass the disease allele to their offspring. Which is not true about pedigrees? Correct answer is A. They show only recessive disorders. Which of these disorders could not follow the inheritance pattern shown in the pedigree diagram? The correct answer is D, because the pedigree shows a pattern where two unaffected parents produce an affected child, and this is the classic pattern for an autosomal recessive disorders like cystic fibrosis and albinism and Tay-Sachs disease. But Huntington's disease is an autosomal dominant disorder which cannot skip generations. So an affected individual would have to have at least one affected parent. How many affected males and females are shown in the pedigree? Of course, the answer is B, 2 males and 1 female. Which occurs when a heterozygous phenotype is an intermediate phenotype between two homozygous phenotypes? The correct answer is A, codominance. And codominance is when both alleles are fully expressed, like the blood group AB. Which is an example of how traits can be influenced by the environment? correct answer is B, breeding ability of identical twins, because it's affected by environmental factors like education, exposure to books, and teaching quality. Which two terms best describe the inheritance of human blood types? The correct answer is B, codominance and multiple alleles. Which is true about sex-linked traits? Of course, the answer is D. What is epistasis? The correct answer is D,